today's video, we're going to look at how to count your stitches after you've knit a gauge swatch. So I've knit this gauge swatch. It's a cotton, it's a Malabrigo cotton, and it's on size 6s. And I've not blocked it yet. I just have pinned it out. So the edges were kind of curling in, so I took my knit blockers and I just gently pinned it out. Now it's not, I didn't tug it or anything. I just rolled it out to where it felt natural, and then I stuck my pins in. So that's a way to keep your edges from curling in. Now you want to have a larger swatch of fabric than what you're going to be measuring your gauge for. So I've pinned out my 4x4 square here, which you don't need to do. I'm just doing that so you can kind of have a visual marker. But you want to have at least a 6x6 or ideally 8x8. I did a 6x6. Because this is going to help mimic the actual fabric that you're going to be knitting in your garment. So we want to make sure that this is large enough that the stitches, that you can get into the groove of knitting this, and also that the stitches have room to behave as if they would in your normal garment. So one of the things that you'll need is a straight ruler. So a plastic or wooden ruler. Fabric measuring tapes can stretch over time, and because we need to be completely accurate, you want to have a plastic or metal or some sort of flat hard ruler. The other thing you want is a pointy thing which you can use to count. So when you're doing your gauge swatch, we want to go from the edge of a stitch to the other edge of a stitch. So I think I'm going to need to take this out to measure. So I'm going to go across my stitch gauge here in the middle. Now, if you have a lot of rowing out, I've got a little bit I can see here. If your piece is very uneven, you may want to take the average temperature check of your piece. So maybe doing a stitch count here, a stitch gauge here, a stitch gauge here, and then kind of figuring the average. So I'm going to, I like to place it on the 1 just because I think it's easier to see the long line. So I'm going to measure up. So if this is my V right here, the left side of that stitch is where my 1 is going. So then I'm going to count over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and get that out of the way. 22. So the left edge of my V right there, you can kind of see that, is right on the edge of that 5. So right here, it lines up right on the edge. So I'm getting 22 stitches across 4 inches, which is my gauge. So awesome. So I'm getting that correctly. Now let's measure our row gauge. So I'm going to line up. So right here is the bottom of that stitch. Let's see, maybe you can't see that. Okay, so right here is the bottom of that stitch, and we're gonna count up 4 inches. 1, 2, hold on. Let me start over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, right about 29 and a half. And I'm going for 30. So that when I block it, we'll see how it measures out. But so I'm getting 22 across, 30 rows up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a note of that, and then I'm going to block my swatch. And once it's dry, we'll come back and we'll measure it. So when I go to block my swatch, I want to treat it as however I'm going to be treating my actual garment. So I'm probably going to do a spray block on this. So I'll take a spray bottle, I'll get it wet. I will, again, just roll out the edges so that they are flat. I don't want to pull. I don't want to make anything a certain size. I want it to be exactly as it wants to be. And then we'll come back and we'll measure it once we've blocked it. Okay, my swatch has dried. I left it to dry even just a little bit longer to make sure that it was truly dry. So I left it to dry overnight, and then I gave it another 12 hours to make sure it was really dry. And I ended up spray blocking it. So I'm gonna take out my pins, because what I wanna do is give it just a little bit of a shake, kind of just as you would, you know, how a garment is gonna get worn, okay? So it's still laying nice and flat. And we're going to measure again. So I'm gonna measure in the middle here. So you can see I've got my inch line marked up just, or it's lined up right here on the edge of that. And like I said earlier, I like to start at the 1. I just find that it just, for a 6-inch ruler, I just like that better. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 and a half. So it was 22 last time, so it did shrink a little, so I lost a half a stitch, so I'll mark that down. And then we were at 30 rows previously, so let's see where we are now. So just at the bottom of that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. So we grew a little bit in length. I'm gonna measure that again. $31. Okay, so I'm gonna make note of that. So it was 21 and a half by 31. So now we're gonna look at how to measure a crocheted piece. So I've already gone ahead and crocheted my swatch. It's a little bit bigger than an 8x8, so it's not really fitting in the frame, but we're gonna measure it the same way. So here is the line. That's the stitch I'm gonna measure. So I'm gonna put my 1 inch just to the left of that leg. We're gonna count across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So I'm actually looking to get 18. So I need to go down a hook size. You'll do the same thing with the crochet where you block your swatch and then you measure it again. But I know from already measuring it that I need to go down a hook size to make it more compact. So that is how you take care of your crocheted gauge too. My pattern doesn't have a row gauge, but let's just, for the sake of practice, let's practice counting row gauges. So crochet is kind of easy to see. You can see this here, then this is where the next line of stitches. So it's a little bit easier to see. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have 10 rows for my row gauge. So I'm at 17 across and 10 rows down. And I believe my pattern is 18 stitches across. So like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and go down a hook size to make sure that I can get those 18 stitches. So that is how you're going to count your gauge swatch for both knitted and crocheted swatches.